because he was a bartender there when it was McGovern's.
Oh, no way.
I brought an amplifier, I brought a cassette deck, I brought all the wires, I brought the power strips like it was a block party. I was like, here, I gave him back like $100 or $150. And he was like, this is unheard of.
That night was incredible. The energy and Sway was nuts.
The two totally separate worlds of Roxy in a lot of ways.
Hey there, it's me, Roxy Cottontail. You might know me as a DJ, artist, designer, and New York City party promoter, or from my bunny logo. I'm putting all that on the table and writing about the years that transformed music and the New York City scene. I've interviewed 250 friends and colleagues I admire. I ask all and reveal all. Please join me and the Tales to rediscover the 90s and the Y2K magical landscape of music, art, technology, and streetwear. This is Roxy's Tales.
Speaking of action, tell us who you are.
I'm Max Glazer, Federation Sound, DJ, music producer, all things music and reggae related is certainly how we know each other.
My guest this week on Roxy's Tales is a DJ and producer whose talent transcends the decks. Max Glazer has managed to bridge a major metropolis from New York City to Jamaica and much of the Caribbean. Max is synonymous with New York City nightlife, the co-founder of Federation Sound, a Rice and Peas party partner, and a Selector whose worldwide DJ sets have made him a legend. His research and discovery of reggae and dancehall has transformed many, and it's with great honor to present an episode you want to rewind again and again. Without further ado, Max Glazer.
We probably met at or through Sway things for sure, because some of the other stuff, like the that stuff, I have like overlaps. Oh, nice.
Did I send you this?
Yeah.
Is this the one I sent you? This is 2004. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure you know the history of Sway was that it was Aaron and Mike Sace started it as Retail Mafia Monday.
Well, I knew the Retail Mafia thing. So my existence in that whole world is a little weird because I always know everybody in that world, but like it's the same way with like the graffiti writers. And so I know Sway, the physical space, because of Espo, because he was a bartender there when it was McGovern's.
Oh, no way.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know this.
Yeah, so I this is not part of, I'm sure, the story that you're gonna try to tell.
What year was that?
I'm terrible with years, but this was definitely in our On The Go magazine days. And as far as I know, Steve McGovern lived upstairs. Steve Powers, Espo, bartended at Sway when it was at McGovern's. When it was McGovern's, it was like a punk rock, grimy rock bar. So I remember knowing about that Retail Mafia thing was their thing, but also my understanding was you took it up, like they had sort of done their run, and you took it up and kind of restarted a whole new thing, which went on for a while before we came in as Rice and Peas. We were sort of like a third wave.
I think that trifecta of Aaron and the Skaters and Weirdos and me having this music nerd background because of anyone that was really into hollertronics and the message board. I don't know, were you ever on the holler board? That's one of my
No, that's another thing where I don't intersect with that world at all, but like everybody I know, like you, Jubilee, Airs. And so, and my relationship with Diplo exists because my partner, Kenny Mees, who I started Federation with in 1999 as Philly dudes, they just knew each other as Philly dudes and low budget. And
how did Federation start between you and Kenny?
Federation started in 99. So prior to that, I moved to Brooklyn in 93. And the person I moved to Brooklyn with, who I met previously, was a dude from Philly. And him and I became really good friends. I went to work with him at 8 Ball Records in the East Village on 9th Street between 3rd and 4th. And so I started meeting his crew of Philly people that still lived in Philly. So that was Kenny Mees, Ari Foreman, Espo, Jimmy Wentz. It was all of the On The Go magazine people. And that was how I ended up getting involved in On the Go, Kenny and I both kind of in parallel started getting more and more into reggae and just were becoming better and better friends. And kind of, we were both becoming less as like connected to the original friend who connected us. And then in 99, at this apartment that I had shared with the mutual friend in Brooklyn at the corner of Bushwick and Metropolitan across from White Castle, started Federation in 99. But Kenny had this whole Philly graffiti writer, hip hop DJ world. And so he knew Wes and Low Budget, who I don't know Low Budget at all, but only because of that, like we all knew who each other were, even when we didn't know each other. And so like with a long-term mutual connected, then down the line, it's all like, oh, cool, we all know each other. And then I'm like, wait, like everyone that I know from a certain world, like a huge part of their life and a lot of like people's starts goes back to the holler board. And like, I didn't even know what that was, or I didn't existed at the time.
So when did you start DJing professionally in clubs?
From November of 1995.
Okay.
So like that was, and at that point, I didn't DJ every week. I DJ'd once in a while. I worked in a record store. I was also writing. That was when we were doing magazine stuff. The one at Chameleon Lounge, I literally remember the night because I brought like my entire home component stereo. I brought an amplifier. I brought a cassette deck. I brought all the wires. I brought the power strips. Like it was a block party. Because for whatever reason, I just was like, okay, I want to record. But it wasn't something that I did normally.
Yeah.
And there wasn't like a little portable mini thing to bring. Like the ones from the 2000s are like, oh, I brought a mini disc and recorded it. It's very easy.
Easy. Wow.
Yeah.
Good on you though, to like document that. It's amazing. Here's another early one. This wasn't my booking. This was Table 50 though.
Table 50. Yeah.
05. The previous Sway Flyer was 04. And simultaneously, I was also booking Gravy independently from you at Sway in 2005.
Well, because I didn't, so like, I don't like, again, the year's terrible. Like in 04, I probably didn't know Gravy, like for real. Like I remember Gravy hired me to DJ a show with Johnny Osborne he was doing at Southpaw. But Gravy was the promoter. He was DJing. He played in the band. Like he did everything. It was so crazy. And it was like a really fun night. It was Johnny Osborne. It was just like a random thing. So like, I don't know. I was probably like, he was like, oh, well, what do you get? And also Gravy's like very solid about money and everything. And so like whatever it was, and I didn't know him, but I knew he was a DJ. So I was like, probably at that time, I was like either $300 or $500 or whatever. And it was just a really slow night. The night just didn't work out. They performed, he played in the band. It was great. Like, I remember this like it was yesterday. Whatever it was, he was like, yo, here. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't that busy, whatever. Gave me the full money. And I was like, here. I gave him back like $100 or $150. And he was like, this is unheard of. I was like, I know you lost money. I know you put up all of your money for this. Like, I appreciate the booking, like we'll keep. And I think that was kind of one of the things that when he was like, oh, I really want to start Rice and Peas, will you, like, you should come be down with this. Like, it was just like, again, like it wasn't about the money. I was like, I know the struggle of what you're trying to do. But I think that was probably even like a year or two after this. Oh, and Cosmo. Yeah, I know Cosmo through the same world of Philly people. I met Cosmo probably when he was like 18 years old. I used to go and play with them at Fluid, which was like, Fluid, yeah. So I used to go DJ there with them all the time.
Oh, nice. So you were really playing as well?
All the time, like for a while, probably like once a month. We would just used to drive down to Philly and do those gigs with him. Kenny and I would do stuff. But I did that Fluid party a bunch of times.
Then how did Rice and Peas begin?
I had been like DJing a ton nonstop in New York, and I was getting really sick of the hip hop shit. We started Federation in 99, and in 2003, I want to say, and I had eased up. I wasn't doing a lot of club shit. Like I was not getting like booked a ton, because also I was like, I don't want to go do like stupid club shit that not even stupid. It's not what I want to be doing. I don't want to do gigs that I'm not having fun at for whatever reason. But then that was when I got the job DJing for Rihanna around 2003, whenever Upon the Replay came out. I got that job. And what was like, hey, can you come to Philly and do a show with us? And then we have one in DC the next day, turned into basically 3 years of mostly being on the road. So I was just on the road doing that. And it just took me away from New York. I wasn't in clubs. We weren't really doing after parties because her management very smartly did not book her out for like after parties or like go do a perform at a club. They were like, nah, we're building a superstar. We don't want people to have access to you like that. So it meant no after parties for me. So I wasn't really DJing clubs. I was just DJing for her. And it grew and grew and grew. So I wasn't really around. I'd be back in New York for a couple of weeks at a time, maybe a month, maybe have a gig here and there. But I had become very far outside of all of the scene of what was going on in New York, club wise. And Gravy reached out to me and was like, yo, I want to start this thing. And we talked about it. And it definitely like coincided with sort of like the tail end or as I was finishing that. Or I was like, yeah, he was like, oh, I want to book you for it. Like he was kind of figuring out who the crew would be. And I think there was one that I was like, not there for the first one. And then the second, oh, I'll be in town. Cool. I'll book you for it. But then shortly after that, I ended up not DJing for anymore because they went to a live band for everything. So there was no more DJ. And I just ended up being here and was able to like actively really like engage in the Rice and Peas party, which was great for me because I really at that point, I mean, obviously like I just didn't have like a footing, like a steady footing in regular gigs, spots, what spots were who was where, even though I knew all of the like players and people, because it's all the same people that were moving around. And I'm not much of like a hustler when it comes to like, all right, let me go out and see who's where and talk to everybody. I'm more just, I just want to go out and DJ. Like I never, to my detriment often, but so that, and so that was, so I want to say it was like in probably like 05, 06, which probably, does that track with?
Well, this is, I don't know if this is the first Rice and Peas related, but this was 2007, August of 2007.
That definitely wasn't the first. So Rice and Peas, the first one I remember existing was at APT actually.
Okay.
I think it was straight to Sway after that.
Yeah.
And it was very much like what I was talking about earlier. Like Gravy was like, oh, Sway, Retail Mafia, this Monday thing. And I was like, I don't really know about that, but I know everyone that you're talking about. So I know all of these people are doing their things, but I was like, I hadn't ever been to the Monday party. And at that point, we would probably still just call it McGovern's.
Yeah.
Not because I mean, they obviously left the sign because it was cool, but it was like, but we had this history there of going to check Steve there at Espo as McGovern's.
Espo actually he DJ'd at Sway. I have photos of it, but I can't find the flyer yet. And that was 04.
That's excellent. Yeah, no, because he predates the transfer from McGovern's to Sway.
My favorite ones, I have two favorites. You want to tell me yours first?
Leftside was super fun.
Favorite.
What, Leftside?
Yes. I have some video footage of that night.
I remember him performing standing on the couch in front of the thing.
Yeah, he is incredible. That night was incredible. The energy and Sway was nuts. Like that was one of the standout times where I was like, there, of course, like I met Sean Paul at an event that Claw did for some sunglasses. And I'm like, he's cool, but like, I want the weirdo creative guy. And Leftside really was like, he's like so abstract and fun and ridiculous that you're like, how can you not just be attracted to this?
Yeah, I mean, I loved that night. I love, there are so many nights that didn't have any artist attached, that just like where like there's people dancing on their head tops on those mosaic tables. I mean, another great one for me personally was we had Ricky Blaze and Shelly. Shelly performed Took the Night in there. But so like I've known Ricky for a long time, and it's one of those things, like it's kind of different worlds. And I'd be like, oh, you should come down. And then finally someone else brought him, and he was like, this was one of the things I really liked about that, is so many people would be like, oh, yo, this is really great. Like, this is dope. Like, same thing, like when artists would come from Jamaica, because it was like, it, for what we did there, like it gave them, like, this is why I love dancehall. Like, there's this unbelievable energy that, like, to me, if you don't, like, even if you don't pick up on it, like, there's something wrong with you. You don't have to love it, but if you don't like feel that it's going on. So like people would come in and they would have the dancehall energy that they're used to, but it would also be like weirdo hipster kids, a bunch of Jamaican kids from Flatbush. It was like this mix. And a lot of times we brought people into this thing of like, oh, wow, this is cool that it's not just people who know every song that I've ever sung. You know what I mean? And like, so like, and like people like Leftside who enjoy that. Some people only want to preach to the choir. Some people like the challenge of like, you know, like Lexus, Mr. Lex is another one. Like, he doesn't care if you know his music or not. He wants to
like getting people into the communion.
Yeah, till he wants to entertain you, like, and engage people. So like this provided a place of like, you're preaching to some of the choir. There's also some people here who are just at the bar having a good time, who have no idea who you are, or even without an artist, no idea what the music is. Their friend brought them because it's Roxy's Mondays at Sway, and you just happen to stumble into the Rice and Peas reggae one. And so like, so I think like when it came, like when Ricky came, he was like, oh, yo, this is dope. Yo, make sure you let me know when you guys are doing this. And like, he got up and performed. He was like, yo, I want to get Shelly up and have her perform too. So I was like, cool. That specifically her doing Took the Night in a Rice and Peas party is like a weird meeting of kind of like the two totally separate worlds of Roxy in a lot of ways. You know, Micro was like literally the embodiment of everything that we're talking about, because he's a Guyanese and Puerto Rican kid that grew up in Flatbush on dancehall and reggae, and also like, you know, like Low Life's Polo Kids, but also on some like best dressed fly guy fashion shit. So like he's like the linchpin that's able to like effortlessly, and because of his personality and what he does, that kind of like effortlessly sat in like the intersection of all of these worlds. Like one, just as his personality, like you just loved him. Like you met Micro and you're like, oh, I love this guy. Awesome, come with me. But also like everything he did and how well he did it was like the natural, was literally like at like the signpost at the middle of that universe, and could go into any part of it. Like you said, like to Amazura, to Sway, to Stretch Armstrong DJing down the block here, to another hip hop party, to like some fashion shit.
I had seen what he had done at Sway, and I was like, he's a conductor. Like he is really kind of like coaching this whole environment. And, you know, while that can be intimidating, I'm like, it's Micro. He's just,
that's one of the things that I hate. If somebody comes up and it's like, yo, let me get on the mic, I literally will fight people over that. Like, nah, like we'll do that somewhere else. This is my thing. And like Micro's able to like diffuse all of that for everybody. There, it's just, and just like exist in all of the things and places at the same time. And like you said, like, oh, well, like, who's this? What's this? Like, it's just, it's his personality. So
and so do you have any iconic interactions? I mean, you guys are bringing such heavy hitting artists into Sway and Rice and Peas on a monthly basis. I know there's probably more than you can count of the memorable moments, but are there any standout ones that you had?
You know, definitely, like I said, you know, having Alison Hinds in there. One weird one, I remember at the end of one of the nights, our boy Danger Mental, I think Lexus was there, Mr. Lex, and our boy Danger Mental had brought the mad stuntman from Reel to Reel. I Like to Move It, Move It.
Oh, wow.
And I guess he's a Trini dude. And there was like a freestyle session. This was like what completely at the end of the night. There was like 10 people there. I think the lights might have even been on at this point. But like Lexus and Mad Stuntman and him doing like I Like to Move It, Move It over like a dancehall rhythm. It was just like one of those bizarre, again, it was kind of like another one of those only in this place, only in this time.
Is there song I need to like you can answer this at another time. You can just email or text me, but songs that personify that era.
The first song that comes to mind, but it's not necessarily like, okay, here, like Movado on the Rock. I like that when you said that, it's not like, it's not going to be my favorite. It's not the one that like most epitomizes what I like, sums up the night, but it is the first thing that came to my mind. Movado on the Rock, which was from 2009.
Isn't there also a song called Sway that's a reggae dancehall song?
There probably is.
Yeah, I think I don't know what song it is, but I know.
You know, there's another one. This is just like a very personal thing. There's like, you know, I in all of my there are a few things that I've produced like 100% on my own musically from like start to finish. And one of them is this song by Vybz Kartel called Wine Wine.
You produced the song?
Yeah. But like fully myself, like every sound, everything. Because I don't do that much of it because I'm not like in the studio like that. So normally if I'm working on something, it's like a collaboration. I've done stuff, you know, a lot of stuff with Ricky. Okay, this is 2010. So I guess in 2010, I did this song with Vybz Kartel called Wine Wine that I produced 100% myself. He recorded it, did it, put it out. It ended up on a Reggae Gold. And like literally the first place I ever played it was at a Rice and Peas party at Sway. And like, you know, I mean, much like I've done with other songs over the years, but like it was different breaking my own record and like played it, talked about it, played it again, and like every week and every week and every week. So like that was like the home. And it's not, look, Cartel has like too many records in his cat, like a billion records. But again, like this one got licensed to VP. It's here, it's there. Like people, there's some familiarity for it. I'm not going to say it's like any in his biggest, but having that, like having the fact that we had that weekly residency at the point when I made this record was like, I remember taking it and playing it there and then being like, okay, I want to do this to it. And I want to do more, you know, more work on the mix. Another one. And so that one was an official release, but then actually I did with Ricky Blaze, there's a remix of Rihanna's What's My Name with Vybz Kartel, which I did also. And it was just after that, like it was at it was relatively similar, and also did the same thing with that record at Rice and Peas at Sway, and was able to have this like captive audience and be able to like have this be the first place people heard it and got familiar with it. So that was definitely like important musically.
How do you think that all of what we were creating then has impacted now?
I mean, you know, it's hard to say because it holds a really distinct place in, I tend to like look at that stuff in like from a step further back in like the full timeline spectrum of, you know, when I was coming to New York and going out when I was like 15, 16, but when I moved here 2 days after I turned 18 was like Stretch Armstrong parties that Bill Spector was throwing. And so like that was my world. And that's like a super important part of this, like that's the time period in like the history of New York nightlife. And part of what's interesting about it to me is it occurs, I don't know if it occurs because of this or this occurs because of it. This is more your philosophical things to figure out. But it ends up being the place where a lot of different things are coming together, and like a lot of different sounds. And I know I wasn't part of this, but if you go to like the Hollerboard thing, I know that about one of the things about that is there was this like incredible like diversity of like sounds, and kind of like it was sort of like the pre what Diplo kind of really went on to do, which is like, you know, he went to Brazil and got all this early, way before Major Lazer, like got all this Brazilian stuff and was like deep into Brazil of sort of like, you know, social archaeology stuff. So I feel like I don't know if this era that you're talking about in New York happened because of it, or that happened because of it, or it's a little bit of both. But it was definitely like diverse, different things were coming together like in a way that was new and unfamiliar. When we went there, like we all had our own things, but then it was like, okay, well, this is there on a Monday. So Roxy said this is going to be there. So I don't know anything about this, but this must be pretty cool. So let's go. And when you go to something with that attitude, you're open to it. You're not walking, oh, my friend took me to this place. What the fuck is this music? Like like you don't know what it's going to be, and it's not necessarily going to be the same, but it's like, oh, Monday's Its Way is popping. Just we're going. Oh yeah, no, I went the other time and it was this I went and it was Telfar and this other thing. And you go and you walk into something totally different, but you know that it's there. Like you, even if you don't understand it, like you know that it's there for a reason. It's not there unintentionally, and you didn't just stumble into something that you're like, oh, this is weird. What is this? So I think people, so like, if that makes any sense, like knowing and understanding that people went into it with like a sense of like wanting to discover things. And again, like this, like, you know, just like convergence of sounds, and where, you know, if you just even if you made the list of the people that DJ'd there and looked at that and like looked at who they are, who they've become, what they've become, the sounds that they represent, I think tells like, you know, like a really interesting story that all of those things were able to exist, to coexist in this, you know, like in this, under this one umbrella. Look, there's a zillion more DJs at this point. You know what I mean? Like DJing was not a respectable profession or life choice in like the 80s, in the 90s, in the early 2000s. It was just like, okay, cool, but what else are you going to do? But so like this era kind of like starts to be like the DJ is like DJ, not a specific DJ who's achieved something, but like DJ is gaining like respectability. So like there's there's more. There starts to be a lot more women DJing, which was also something that you had a lot of, and a big part in, because, you know, it was interesting. I would always think about this because in my worlds of hip hop, there was Jazzy Joyce and there was Coco Chanel, and those are the days where anytime I went to a club, I had, you know, 2 to 3 people with me, and you had hand trucks and you had all these crates of records, and it was like the only thing that prevents women from being DJs is the physical weight of lifting and moving records. And you got to have a crew to do that. And sometimes your crew says, fuck off. And they show up at the beginning of the night, and then they all meet somebody and they're not there. And so like, as things moved to digital, CD / Serato, there's nothing about like the ears, the eyes, the brain, and the hands for DJing that make men any better at it. It was strictly like a weight limit. You know what I mean? Like records heavy, more likely men will be able to lift the records.
Yeah.
But in this era, that's already well into changing. And so there's like this explosion again, you know what I mean? Like there's really like at that time, like an explosion of yourself, women DJ. This is strictly a matter of like lifting crates of records. That's the only reason there aren't more women, because we're not inherently better at it. We're probably, for all of the reasons we're shittier at a lot of things, we're probably inherently shittier at it, you know, like patience, you know, all of the things that, you know, like the mental parts of it, we're probably not as sharp at. You guys are probably wired to be better at that. Like I very much, like the way my brain works is like, okay, which box does this go in? Okay, this goes in this box. I'm playing rap today, I'm playing reggae today. But it's like something that I still constantly have to like work to unlearn, because it's kind of like a reflex. So like what you you did and like what that era kind of exemplifies, and like the holler board is like, you know, the opposite of that, of just like, oh, what's this? Cool. Throw it in the pot. Like, let's, you know, let's throw this in here and see what it does.
That transfer of music and technology becoming so accessible just changed everything and made that mixing pot, like you're saying, like even
Right. That's what I said. I mean, look, so to go to the carrying records thing, like not only allowing their, you know, like women to really actively engage, but to be able to have this diversity in your musical arsenal and library on any given night and go in any direction at the drop of a dime, it unlocks the thing for especially, you know, people like Cosmo. Like I'm like the least diverse DJ you'll ever find. But like for people like Cosmo and Airs, who are great and at this wide spectrum of things, that ability to just be like, oh great, here, oh cool, this is the perfect time to play a Beatles record. And you know what? Here's the Beatles into James Brown. What's that?
I said, here's the Baltimore Club remix.
Right, it's James Brown into the Clips, into the Baltimore Club remix. Like, so that type of thing, you know, and I mean, there's a couple of things. People who are not good at that style of DJing is one of my least favorite things to listen to. But people who are great at it, AM, you know, like AM is like, it's the biggest curse because he created this thing of like, everyone plays like, everything is like a rap record over a rock record, and everyone's terrible at doing it. They don't realize that he's this like once in a generation, amazingly talented, brilliant DJ that does brilliant things. Everyone else doing it sounds like trash.
And then I guess we answered everything. I appreciate you.
No problem. See ya.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for hopping by. That's it for this week. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and stalk. Bounce, little kitty.